Welcome back to the channel. My name is Lauren, and today we're going to be talking about all the books that I read this past April. In April, let me pull up my stats here. I read 7 books, question mark. I may have technically read 8 because I finished it on the 1st of April, and I don't really remember if I talked about it in my last video or not, so I'll probably get into that super quick. Pretty good month of reading. This month I have a couple arcs that I'm going to talk to y'all about, and I'm excited also to get into what I'm going to be reading in May. I have some more arcs to get through, and I did have one DNF unfortunately this month, and we will get into that. So first, we're going to get into the arcs that I read this month. The first one being The Escape Game by Marissa Meyer and I think Tamara Ross. This came out on April 7th. I liked it. I didn't love it though. I thought the concept was really interesting and new. I've never really read anything like it before. Essentially, this is a YA murder mystery kind of whodunit based on an escape room. So we have a cast of 4 characters, and they're casted on this game show that features kids who are really good at escape games, essentially. The catch is one of the leads, which I don't remember her name, she and her sister were on the previous season of the game show, and the girl's sister, on the very last day of filming the last escape room, her sister was found killed in like this coffin style thing, and so her sister is accused of the murder of her own sister. Am making any sense? So she kind of comes back the next season of the TV show to kind of avenge her sister's death, find the killer, find out what really happened, because she knows she's innocent, but she has to kind of convince everyone else that she is innocent. These are decent cast of characters. I thought it was really good, but it's not super memorable to me. Like, you can probably tell I'm kind of struggling trying to remember some plot points of it. I do find that like some of Marissa Meyer's writing can get really dense in a way that it's kind of a slog to get through, and it's always around 30 to like 60% of the book. It's just like, get on with it. I find her books are a little bit too long for what they should be. Sometimes I'm like, you could have cut 75 pages out of this book. And we would still get the point. I don't think she's a bad author, but I don't know. She may not be the author for me, maybe. I didn't hate it. Like I said, I ended up rating it 3 stars. I think for a YA novel, it's really good. Diverse cast. And it is going to be a series, it looks like. And also shout out to the publishers at Penguin Young Readers for gifting me the copy to read early. All right, so the next arc that I have for you is called Enemies to Lovers by Alicia Rai. This is cool for me because I think this is technically the first author that I've read who's Indian, like South Asian descent. So diversifying a little bit. I definitely want to read some more authors from different cultures for sure as my reading journey kind of progresses. Now, this book was good in the sense that Enemies to Lovers is my favorite romance trope. And another trope that I'm realizing that I like is the unlikely duo. I kind of like that. So this is about a girl named... I don't remember her name. Okay, so this is about a girl named Sejal, right? And she has grown up with like con artists, criminals as a family. Her parents are linked to like this Indian crime syndicate kind of thing. Sejal, she's not really into that. She's trying to, I mean, she's still scamming. Let's be clear. But she's definitely not on the level that her parents, specifically her father, was kind of getting into. Essentially, she gets wrapped up in helping this FBI agent find his brother, and his brother is linked to the crime syndicate that Sejal's family is running, essentially. It's kind of like, it's giving mob, but Indian, okay? I thought it was super fun. This is also, I think, technically called a adventure rom-com because there's like a road trip that they have to go on across the entire country to get to Las Vegas to handle some business. I feel like I did not describe that book super well. I also was listening to the audio version of this book as well. Normally, it's quite hard to do a true enemies to lovers in a contemporary romance, just because no real people are truly going to be enemies. Now, they can be rivals, they can be two people who just don't like each other. An enemy is like, future me, put the definition of enemy on the screen. Enemy, an individual, group, or force that is fundamentally opposed, hostile, or threatening to another. Enemies actively work against a person or group's success, safety, or interests. And a lot of times in modern day and age, you're not getting to this level of hatred normally. Okay, unless you have some like other issues that are going on. But since this book is kind of FBI agent and criminal, it kind of works a little better. These are two people who should not be getting friendly. And Sejal's family is alleged to basically taking out Krish's, the guy in the story, his brother. And you're over here being like, oh, this girl's really beautiful. Hey, her family probably took your brother, dog. So it's kind of like, again, unlikely duo. I found it to be fun and adventurous. Nothing really to write home about, but do really like it. I think it's a fun summer read for sure. I like that our FMC was a tall woman. She wasn't petite. She's also in her 30s. She's not super young. She's got her own things that she's kind of dealing with and trying to overcome. She's kind of just trying to find her place in the world, but also she's dealing with a abusive ex, someone who's actively stalking her as well, so that's kind of going on in the book at the same time. And I think I would recommend this book. Actually, I found it to be quite nice. So shout out to Avon for gifting me this copy for an early review. And now we're gonna get into books that are published. You can go oh wait, I lied. I have one more arc. This one is called Burnout Summer by Jenna Ramirez. Now this one I remember a little bit more just because it's been a little bit more recently since I read it. But this is about a girl named Camilla, and she is a college graduate. She is working corporate life when she is unceremoniously fired. She then goes out drinking, gets in trouble, ends up spending a few hours in jail, where one of her old college friends picks her up, and his name is Danny. Now, Cam and Danny have been friends since college, and they are kind of part of a quad of friends. As they're getting older, they've kind of moved apart. They're kind of doing their own things, but try their best to kind of stay in contact. And Danny and Cam are the ones who are a little bit closest at this point. So Camilla is feeling really burnt out by corporate life. She doesn't really know what to do. She is quite literally drowning in student debt, credit card debt, everything debt, and she doesn't really know what her next move is going to be. So Danny actually invites her to stay with him in Rhode Island for the summer. She can work at his restaurant that he got gifted from his uncle that passed away, and just take the summer off, kind of find herself again. That way she's better prepared for her next move. I really thought this book was quite sweet. I rated it 4 stars. I think this book will be really relatable to a lot of young people, especially those who have gone to college, gotten a degree, now they're working this job they hate, or a job they're working themselves to the bone for, or the job where they're not getting the respect and treatment that they deserve, but they can't really quit because they have so many loans and debt collectors, and they are just trying to survive, and they're just feeling like, you know, you're sinking into the abyss, essentially. I feel like that is something that's very relatable to a lot of people my age, probably a lot of people younger than me, a lot of people older than me too. So in this journey, she has to really ask herself, is this truly what my life is going to be like for the rest of my existence? Am I ever going to be happy? Do I deserve to be happy? Can I find a way to enjoy what I do for work, but also take care of the bills that I have to take care of? Like, is that even going to be sustainable? And I like that. And I like really like Danny as a character. I think he was my favorite in this book because he kind of dealt with the pressure to follow the herd in the sense, and he was never really the guy who was super school grades focused. He was more so, I'm young, let me experience life, let me find something else to do that I can support myself in. I'm going to travel the world, I'm going to experience things. The path isn't just college, work, hating your job, getting married, having children, and then dying. He's like, there's so much more you can do in the world. And I liked that perspective of Danny. I liked how he was able to kind of get Camilla to see that and accept that, of course, on her own terms. And I like the romance between them too as well. Although when they finally did get together, it was kind of like... okay. But it did have enough of a good slow burn. Definitely some yearning on Danny's end. He is kind of like the best friend that you always had, and you just never really thought about him in that way. And I thought that was a sweet part of the romance, and it kind of felt realistic too. But yeah, I like Danny. I like this book. Good summer read, good beach read. There's a dog in this book who is just the sweetest little thing. Love him. And yeah, definitely would recommend this book for sure. Out of all the arcs, this one definitely was my favorite. And Burnout Summer is going to be released on May 12th of this year. And shout out to St. Martin's Press for gifting me this early copy to read for review. So now let's get into books that are published out. You can go and get it today. Okay, so the first book, I really don't know if I talked about this or not. I don't think I did. I finally got to pick up And Now Back to You by B.K. Boris. And now this is the second in the Heartstrings trilogy, and this is Jackson's story. Now Jackson is our resident weatherman on the radio, and he has kind of this rivalry. I don't know how to pronounce that word. At the TV station across the parking lot, there's this really spunky, cute, quirky weather woman named Delilah. And I love Delilah so much as a character. She felt so sunshiny, and she's the kind of girl, the kind of friend that you want in your corner, because you know that she's going to be loyal to you, she's going to support you, always with a smile on her face, no questions asked, and everyone needs a friend like that. The thing with Delilah is she's always taking care of everyone else, and no one's really taking care of her. And that's kind of where Jackson comes in this story. Same thing with Jackson. We learn a little bit more about him. He has custody of his two twin sisters, his younger sisters, because his mom essentially forfeited her custody over to him, which was kind of crazy to read. And his mom was really making me mad because I'm like, girl. But anyways. I love Jackson's relationship with his sisters. But basically the book is about Jackson and Delilah have to work together to cover this giant storm that's going to be coming to the Baltimore area. And they're going to cover both the radio and TV side. So the thing with Jackson is, and we learned about this in the last book, he's not super comfortable in front of the camera or really even on the radio, talking kind of on the fly, showing his personality, that kind of thing. And Delilah really shines at that. So they're kind of able to learn from each other. They end up taking care of each other, you know, in ways that matter and in ways that are sustainable for the two of them. This was unfortunately blonde man propaganda, and I may be falling victim. Which is like, what do you mean he's blonde? But he wears glasses, and y'all know I love a man in glasses. Now, although there was a lot that I loved about this book, there were some things that I didn't super love. One, it was kind of I really don't like you, but then after they spend like 2 hours together, Jackson's like, wait, I really like her. And it's like, bro, you didn't really let anything build up per se. So didn't love that it was kind of insta-lovey in a way. But yeah, that's pretty much the only thing that I was kind of like, Okay, I wish there was a little bit more depth of their relationship with each other. I did really enjoy this book. I loved the conversation on not feeling worthy to ask for help, or being scared to ask for help, or just feeling like you can't trust anybody to ask for help because so many people have let you down over and over and over again. That felt extremely relatable to me, and it's something that I personally struggle with, asking for help, mainly because I don't want to be a burden to someone, and also because I've just been let down so many times. It just feels like, well, let me just do it, because even if I let myself down, it's me, you know, and it's not like I would rather be disappointed with myself than be disappointed in somebody else. But anyways, that's definitely a me problem. So I enjoyed reading that and seeing how the two of them were able to work together and also do the work themselves too, and trusting other people again. And Keith, the TV station head in this book, if I catch you in these streets, it's on site. Jail. Straight to jail. Now, the next thing I read in April, I had to throw in a little nonfiction book. I finally got around to reading Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. In recent years, if you follow either one of the Green brothers, especially John, over the past few years, he's been very vocal about the fight to cure tuberculosis. And the thing is, we have a cure for tuberculosis, but those in underprivileged communities, countries, they're just not able to get this medication. There are so many hoops that these people have to suffer through. Johnson & Johnson, you will pay for your crimes. I was listening to this and just hearing the numbers and the absolute disgusting practices that these pharmaceutical companies, they are literally just letting people die. And it was deeply infuriating to read about, knowing that millions of people are still dying from a disease that we have a cure from, but they can't get this medication because Johnson & Johnson doesn't want to allow the patent to go generic, so they can continue to charge, hundreds of dollars to these poor countries that don't have the funds, the structural buildings, the staff. I mean, even like down to hospital beds. It's deeply upsetting, it's deeply infuriating, and oh my gosh, this book really just opened my eyes to a lot of the things, and a lot of it is the freaking car, bro. And a lot of it boils down to, you guessed it, racism. Racism and capitalism. There's so much more history around tuberculosis that I want to get into because of this book. The history of it is super interesting. Fun fact, learned that the Adirondack chair, this guy, actually, let me put it on this side. This guy was originally designed for tuberculosis patients, so they kind of lie leisurely but not be choking, and because tuberculosis is a disease of the lungs, it was easier for them to breathe in this position and be able to be outside, and that's how the design for the Adirondack chair came. Interesting. And of course, in true John Green fashion, there are stories of people that he's met along the way. I was incredibly touched by John's relationship with Henry and Henry's mother, a young man, I should say, who's currently living in Sierra Leone and has survived tuberculosis. And it was really touch and go there for a long time, but he was able to pull through and get the medication and treatment that he needed. I loved hearing how John used Henry's story and put it in this book, because we got first person, in a way, stories of how this disease affects not only the person, but the family, the community, and then in turn the country. Yeah, and it shows how by taking a genuine interest in someone and their life can truly do a lot of good. Not only for yourself, but for them, but you'll learn so much more about people by just stopping and asking questions and genuinely wanting to get to know them. And I thought that was really beautiful. I'm definitely gonna be doing some more reading on tuberculosis because it's a truly interesting disease and down to pop culture, very interesting. But yeah, I really like this book. I rated it 5 stars. It's accessible, it's digestible, it puts the right amount of fervor in your heart to want change, and I think that's where John Green really excels. Of course, there are books that will get deeper into the subject of tuberculosis, but I think if you want to get into reading more nonfiction books that kind of read like a fiction book, John Green has a couple, and I think that's kind of the move to take for sure. The next book that I read is another Murderbot book. Now this book is the 6th novella, so I skipped 5 because it's the first like full-length novel. And basically, essentially, Murderbot is in his cop era. There's a body that they find in the station, and so they have to go and do an investigation to figure out, number 1, who is this? Number 2, who are these people that are trying to hurt us? 3, is Gray Chris behind this? And you know, Murderbot has to interact with humans a lot more in this book, and he again and again just proves what a relatable character he is, and it's a robot, and it kind of makes you think. And I lost my train of thought. Per usual, Murderbot in this book, he's snarky, he's funny, and actually a lot more sympathetic in this book than you would expect for him to kind of end up being. I loved in this book, he showed his distaste for crumbs that humans leave in places. That's like really funny to me. This one was a little bit funnier to me. So this is Fugitive Telemetry. The next one that I'll read is called Network Effect, which I want to say is the novella. Actually, it may be the novel. Yeah, so the next one is the novel. And then after this, there'll be a book called System Collapse. And I actually have the arc for the 8th book, which is called Platform Decay, and that comes out on May 5th. Now, I'm a little behind. I did not get to Network Effect or System Collapse in time, but I'm definitely going to be reading that and letting y'all know how I feel. And maybe I'll do a video on the Murderbot Diaries series as a whole, since everything is, since I'll be caught. What am I talking about? I'll be honest with you, it is 11:15 p.m. and I decided to film this, so you're getting like late night Lauren brain right now. We're gonna move on because I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. The next book that I'm gonna talk to y'all about is called These Summer Storms by Sarah McLean. I loved this book. It was near perfect for me, and there are a few things that caused me to bring it down like maybe half to a full star, and I'll talk about those first. So actually, I'm not gonna do that. Let me tell you what this book is about. So this is about Alice, and she is the daughter of a computer mogul. She comes from a long line of entrepreneurs in her family, but her father, whose first name is Richard Storm or something like that, I think his name is Richard Paul, plays a generic white name. That was his name, Storm. And he is essentially, I want you to think Bill Gates, Steve Jobs created this company, and they are Fortune 500. They are like the best stock you can buy globally, trillionaires essentially. Money is no object. And he is kind of a guy who's a daredevil. He is older, but he likes to skydive. He likes to go base jumping. He'll drive rally cars. He'll do F1. Like, he's just kind of out living his life because he has money. And once you get to that level of money, you're just like, whatever I can get my hands on, let's get into it. So unfortunately, he has an accident and he dies. That's not funny. I don't know why I laughed. I'm sorry, RIP to Mr. Storm. Now it's time for the funeral. And this is where we find our main character, Alice. She's who's the book's POV is in the majority of the time, but you do get little snippets of other people's POVs. Alice, unfortunately, has been cut off from her family. 1, by choice, and 2, because of a scandal that occurred that Alice was a part of. So she has not been part of the family for 5+ years, and her family owns a little island off of the coast of Rhode Island, and like one of those giant mansions. They're like the top 1% of the 1%, essentially. She has to go back home to the island to essentially, do all of the end of life stuff, get her father's will, get the, learn about, okay, who's going to be the CEO of the company now that her father has passed, who is going to get the stocks and the trades, things like that. And of course, in typical father fashion, because he was in a way pretty emotionally abusive, there has to be some type of gain. Like, it's never going to be an easy task. And in this, we learn about the mom, the brother, the other 2 sisters that Alice has. And then we meet the guy because this is technically a romance book. It's women's fiction, but there is romance in it. We meet Jack, who is her father's assistant that Alice has no idea about, and it's really good. But here's where I had some issues. Number one, it's so dramatic to the point where it almost feels soap opera leaning. Now, I am a dramatic person, I will admit that. And I do like drama. I don't like having drama in my life, but other people's drama, love that. But this almost felt a little over the top in some ways. It was still good though, don't get me wrong. And another thing that was kind of annoying to me, the storm, like physical, like thunder, cloud, rain, wind, like storm. Those references were a lot in this book, to the point where I was like, girl, if you allude to a storm one more time, we get it. Their last name is Storm, and Alice is not like the rest of them. She's normal. She takes the train to work. She's a teacher. We get it, okay? We get it. Now, did it lead to a compelling, interesting family drama? Yes. And again, I loved it. This is like a 4.5, 5 stars. Really, really enjoyed it. Only thing that I both loved and was also kind of like, okay, was the romance between Alice and Jack. I still don't really understand. Like, I get why he likes her, but I don't really know. Like, I don't really know. You know? Jack is a fixer, deeply devoted to Alice. I think that's what I'm like, why was he so devoted to Alice? Like, I get it, but also I'm like, okay. I mean, like, I can rock with it, but okay, sure. I don't know if it was just like a forced proximity thing. I don't know if it was like a grief thing. I don't know if it's because like, oh, we're two people who have been, everyone in the family's been abused in some way by the daddy. So is that it? Like, that part was a little confusing. I was rocking with it though. Don't get me wrong. I was rocking with it. Definitely gonna recommend this. This book on the beach with a big old margarita. Oh, baby. Yeah. The vibes this summer, it's in New England. Like, I want to be on Martha's Vineyard reading this book. You know, that's kind of the vibes. And billionaire drama is drama I will never, ever experience in my life. But funeral drama, everyone can relate to that. Because everyone goes crazy. Everyone, which, I mean, granted, someone you love has died. But it really just truly brings out the worst in people. And we kind of see that at play here in this book. I just really liked it. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. And the last book that I read this month, and I'm very excited to share, is I finally have read an Abby Jimenez book. Finally. So I started the Part of Your World series, and I read the first one, Part of the World, and this is following Alexis and Daniel. Now, Alexis, similar to the last book that I read, kind of grew up in a multi-generational family of doctors, people who were game changers, people who pushed the envelope of the medical community, and she is not really fitting into that mold. Again, we're dealing with narcissistic, abusive parents. She's dealing with her ex, who is also emotionally abusive. She has just lost her brother in the sense that he is moving to Cambodia to be a doctor, and surprise, he just got married and is leaving forever, never to come back. And so she's feeling very alone. In the book, the two meet from Alexis getting her car stuck in a ditch because she swerves to avoid hitting a raccoon, and Daniel comes and helps pull her car out of like this ditch, and they meet and they kind of hit it off. Like, there's a lot of chemistry, there's definitely some insta love, a little bit kind of thing. So they kind of start a casual relationship. Alexis and Daniel could not be more different. She grew up wealthy, silver spoon. Anything that she wants, she could buy. Like, she leaves like a $1,300 pair of shoes at his place because one just got stuck in mud, and she was like, whatever, I'll just buy a new pair. Like, that kind of money. And in contrast, Daniel is the stark difference of that. He is a carpenter. He runs an Airbnb that his great grandfather built, and he's helping maintain it. He's running it as an Airbnb. He is trying to sell art to make ends meet, so he's not rolling in money at all. He lives in this little small community where there's like just a few hundred people, and he's just kind of living his life, and Alexis kind of rolls into his life and he immediately is in love with her. And it's about their story of, is love enough? I think is the main theme of this. Even though two people could not be more different but find themselves connecting on different levels, is love enough? What kind of sacrifices will each one make? Will Alexis be able to stand up to her parents and say, hey, I am so thankful of the legacy of my family, but I have to do what makes me happy? Is Daniel going to abandon his family's generational run in this town, like the pillars of the community, to possibly try and fit into Alexis' world, even though he is a boots and a t-shirt kind of guy? Will they fit? And Alexis is, I think, 10 years older than Daniel. Okay, come on, cougar. I really like this book. Now, I really wanted in my heart to rate this 5 stars. I ended up with a 4-star because Alexis was kind of getting on my nerves. Like, I understood her why she was the way that she was, but this girl didn't even know how to sweep. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, she didn't know how to do her laundry. She didn't know how to cook. Like, nothing. Nothing? You can't even scramble a little egg? That's crazy to me. I don't care how rich you are. Like, do people really, like, I don't know if it's just because I just don't have any concept of, like, wealth, but you don't know how to hold a broom. You don't know how to turn on a vacuum. That's crazy to me. So that was kind of annoying to me. And also, she kind of felt hypocritical in a way, but she was able to call herself out on it. Like, have I always been like this? Like, I can't believe my friends, but am I just now realizing it because I like this guy? Have I been like this too? Like, and she kind of felt guilty and like grossed out by herself. So, I mean, she was self-aware in a way, but there's like a reveal kind of at the end of how starkly different their lives are. And even I was like, oh, I felt how Daniel felt. I didn't realize it was like that. And normally too, this was really just playing with this man's heart, and I did not like that because Daniel is like textbook example of cinnamon roll hero, sweetie pie baby. I love Daniel. If you know someone who is like Daniel, email me quickly. We need to talk. This is actually my dream man. I am not joking. Daniel was my dream man. Knows how to cook, can build things, sweet, loves animals, is deeply devoted to those that he cares about. Like, he's such a kind person. And like, Daniel, I wish you existed and you were in love with me. Anyways, yeah, I really like this book. I'm really excited to continue this story. I think Daniel's my number 1 book boyfriend. Like, being so serious. He was so good. And I love the fact that Alexis had to really grovel at the end of this book because I was like, girl, you were doing too much. And in fact, she should have done more. Truthfully, if it was me, I'd have been like, that ain't enough. And what else? It did live up to the hype. I'm happy to report. That was everything that I read. Oh, I DNF'd a book. I just remembered. So the book that I DNF'd was called I'll Watch Your Baby. And this is by Nina Vale. This comes out on May 26th of this year. I was really excited to read this book, but I just could not get into it. I gave it to about 25-30% or so. And also, this is a lot more horror leaning than I thought that it was going to be. And I'm not a horror girl at all, really. I like to be scared, a little suspense, a little, ooh, I'm a little stressed, but I don't like a lot of horror elements because I ain't trying to be messing with all that, okay? I like that this book had some real life inspiration. The inspiration behind this book was the infamous welfare queen, Linda Taylor, who had hundreds of different aliases, who was scamming, stealing children, writing false checks, switching her hair up, her weaves, everything, and was eventually caught. And this is kind of like a take on that story. It was interesting, but I could not get into the prose of the book, and I don't really know what about it exactly was turning me off. Something about the way the dialogue was happening wasn't landing, and I was intrigued, but in a way that I'm like, what are you talking about? So it made me want to read more, but I was like, I'm just getting more and more confused, and like, the imagery was not bad, actually. Creepy enough, confusing enough to where you're like, kind of what's happening? Is she hallucinating? Are these things actually happening? Like, kind of what's going on? But yeah, I just could not get into it, unfortunately. Of course, and there's a lot of commentary on race, class, social commentary, which is good. All those things are good, but I just could not get into it, unfortunately. So I did end up DNFing that book, and this was an ARC that I got. Thank you to St. Martin's for sending me this copy, but yeah, I just did not get into it. I know there are people who really love this book. I could see it being really good, but it just wasn't for me, unfortunately. So I DNF'd it. Okay, so let's get into what I'll be reading in May. So, I don't know why I did that face. All right, so I have a couple books that are going to be coming out in June that I'm going to be reading in May that I get to in May. First one is called The Summer Girlfriend by Christina Forrest. Shout out truly to Berkeley for allowing me to sign up and get this arc. Very exciting. But this is about a girl who has to step in for, I'm pretty sure, her guy friend's wedding as like a bridesmaid. So it's a little bit of a fake dating trope, which I like. So I'm definitely excited to get into this. This comes out on June 9th. So I'm excited to read that in May. The second book that I need to read in May is called You Jump First by Maya Ariel. Now this is a YA romance about a girl who kind of makes a pact with her crush's brother, and it kind of turns into something that neither of them are really expecting. I did just recently pick up a book by Maya Ariel called When I Think of You just a few weeks ago. So I don't know if this is her first YA book or not, but I'm definitely excited to check out this. This one releases on June 30th. So I have a good bit of time to read that book. I may even read it in June. Who knows? The other books that I'm going to be reading in May currently actually started. The first one is Such a Fun Age by Keely Reid. This is about a girl who is a young Black girl, and that is important to the description. She is a babysitter for her family, and she's kind of helping out the family. Last minute, she takes her child that she's watching to basically like a Whole Foods, essentially, where a security guard comes up to her and is like, "Did you steal this child?" basically. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" It's kind of about the aftermath of that incident, being racially profiled and harassed. There are a couple characters. The other main girl, the wife, the mom, her name is Alix, which is really interesting. And she's an interesting character. Right now, I'm kind of like, okay, girl, what are you talking about? It's just a really interesting read. Again, commentary on race, on class, on social norms. In a way, it's a book about white privilege, a book about discrimination and unintentional discrimination and kind of like microaggressive type things. It's really interesting. I've been giggling. Some parts are really funny to me. I'm actually about 26% in right now as we are speaking currently. I'm listening to both the audiobook and the physical copy of it, and actually it's right there. I don't know if you can see it, but there she is. I'm enjoying it. It is literary fiction, so it's, character heavy and not necessarily plot heavy, but I'm enjoying it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good so far. And I'm happy to announce that I finally have started Daggermouth by H.M. Wolf. I'm literally one chapter in, so who knows if I'm gonna like it. Hopefully I like it. This book has been all over the internet. But yeah, that's everything that I've read in April. Everything that I'm going to be, so far, going to be reading in May. There are a couple books that I have on hold at my library that I'm going to hopefully get to. But as of right now, that's what we're looking at. And yeah, I hope this video turned out okay. I was kind of rambling because it's a little late and I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm kind of just saying words and hoping that sentences are forming. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much everything for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, let's do, what's a good May emoji? Let me think about May. When I think about May, I think about, it's not May, it's April. When I think about April, I think of April showers, bring me flowers. So maybe let's put the umbrella emoji, one of the umbrella emojis, to represent showers. Definitely put this if you made it this far into the video. Apologize for our rambling. Hopefully I can get it together by the next video. I'll let y'all go now. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, peace. Why not do that? Bye.